Well, it is another Tuesday night. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Greatly appreciate it. I'm 30 seconds early tonight, actually. When I hit the old go button, it looked like it gave me a 30-second head start. So I'm ahead of the game tonight. So I'm on time. I'm ready to go. It's another Tuesday night. So I appreciate everybody for being here. So first and foremost, let me say, I know we are one day past Memorial Day, but I guess I would say every day should technically be Memorial Day for everybody who did paid the ultimate sacrifice. Cheers to all of you guys, for everybody you did. We're extremely grateful for your service and what it is that you allow us to do in terms of being able to spend time with friends, family, all of that, in the greatest country on the planet. So to every serviceman, past, present, future, thank you guys so much for your service. So with that being said, I'm excited to kind of get into tonight's topic. I'll say hi to a few of everybody in here pretty soon, but wanted to just kind of, again, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And we'll kind of get into tonight's topic. I think it's kind of interesting to just, everyone that I know and everyone in the chat, we've all appreciated, I think, the Elijah Craig barrel proofs for what they are, what they've given us, where they are now, maybe where they're going. That'll be kind of interesting to see, with some of that stuff, now with the most recent release being less than 12 years old. That's very kind of interesting. We'll kind of talk a little bit about that tonight. So if you've got an Elijah Craig barrel proof in your glass tonight, drop it in the comments. I'd love to know what batch you've got. So a lot of the ones I have go back to anywhere from 17, 18, 19. Somehow I kind of missed, I think, maybe all of those. I've got one or two, maybe A and B, the 520, but I don't know if I think I had one of the 2021 release. Those were kind of hit or miss in my area. I'm sure with all the COVID garbage and all that, probably had something to do with distribution and everything. But so far this year, I've been lucky enough to get my hands on both the A and B batch. So I've done the review of A, which I absolutely loved. The B batch, we'll kind of see what that has in store for tonight. I'll do kind of a little quick review. I have sat down with it. I haven't done the recording of it quite yet because I wanted to give it a little bit of time. I wanted that thing to kind of open up. I've only had the bottle now for a few days, so I want to get that thing kind of opening up a little bit just to see if that somehow changes. And maybe it will. I don't know. I mean, generally speaking, barrel proof stuff, I like to, before doing any review, like to give it, minimum of a week. So that's what I'm kind of hoping to do, is that when I get back from Missouri the end of this week, hopefully when I get back, I can get all of that kind of, going. So let me stop blabbering here for a second and just say hi to a few people that were in here right away. Roy was in here right away. Roy R. does cocktails. Cheers, buddy. Always good to see you. Mr. Nate Cox, the boss, Katie Turk, as always. Thank you, Katie. Appreciate it. What else we got? Isaac Fufu, a.k.a. Lance P. That's much easier, Lance. Cheers, buddy. What else we got? Sugar Kitty, of course. Always, Kitty's always in here. Benny, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. What else we got here? Ryan, cheers, and C922 here. That was a very, very good release. The C922 was, I would say, really a nice, I think C922 and the A123 a little similar. That was a nice kind of rollover to the beginning of the year. So I really was digging both the C and then A batch of this year. So my man, Jeffrey Wack. Jeffrey, it was great to finally meet you in person. We had a great time down at Hard Truth this past Friday. myself, Jason, Jeffrey was there, Darrell was there, Todd Ritter was there. Who else did we have that was with us? Bill Callahan was there, or Bill Callahan. Bill Kavanaugh was there. His wife was there as well. We had an absolutely fantastic time. And speaking of hard truth, that's what I've got in my glass right away before we kind of get into all the ECBP stuff. This one just happens to be the malted rye, which I absolutely love. Was the first time when I was there, was the first time I'd ever had any of the hard truth, and I came away extremely impressed. So I think we did a fantastic job with selecting a barrel as well. So a lot of thought and questioning went into, you know, what it was we were going to be picking. So how's it going, Cooper? Good to see you, bud. Mr. Perkins, long time no see. Cheers, buddy. Good to see you as always. I think I already said cheers to Ryan, but we'll say cheers again. Cheers, buddy. Mr. Widener, good to see you, bud. Always nice to see you in here. Appreciate it. The Doorman, how's it going? How's it going, Adam? Good to see you. Let's see what else we got here. Hey, Sat, you can't go wrong with it. No, yeah, and that's a good one. That'll be a question that I kind of get that we kind of get into a little bit. So, okay, Ryan's got the B batch in 2022. Let's see what else we got here. We'll kind of get into some of this stuff here in a second. So, cheers, Brian. Good to see you. Still looking for B523. Hold tight. We'll see what everybody's got. What everyone's got coming. I think. Let's see. And on the B523, I'm sipping an open B520. Yeah. So big win. The B520. Did I have the? Yeah, I've got a B520 actually right here. It was right off to the side. I grabbed that one. That was one that was a little bit memorable for me as well. So, Paulie P, good to see you, buddy. What else we got here? Danny Spirits, love it. I love anybody that can have Danny something ahead of whatever it is. So, how do the A122 and the B522 compare this year? A123 by that's a loaded question there, Danny. A lot of stuff going on. I'd have to even go back probably, to be honest, to some notes or whatever, just to kind of see what some of the differences and stuff were. But I knew a lot of the releases in 2022, I think, were pretty darn solid in terms of the overall like last couple of years. So, you know, I kind of like what where they're kind of going with things. We'll see how things shake out with the B523, or excuse me, the B523. We'll see how that goes. So, what's up, Broski? Good to see my brother from another mother. Travis, good to see you. Just picked up the ECB the other day. Have yet to crack it. Well, never a better time than now. So, Travis, get that thing open. So, all right, let me dive into things. So let me just kind of do a little recap here for a couple of minutes before we dive into all the ECBP stuff. So, like I mentioned before, last Friday, we were all down at Hard Truth in Nashville, Indiana, of all places. And if it's not one of the places that has the most beautiful grounds overall, I would love to see it, because that place, the outdoor entertainment area, just sitting around, live music, all of that is maybe second to none. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. I would say just based on that, and some of the whiskeys, you know, that we were able to try. If you can get there, go there. It is 100% worth your time. Spend the day there. It's easy to do. You know, they have a great restaurant. So you've got, you know, lunch, dinner, all of that. You can literally go there from the time they open and be there until they close. But it is absolutely, absolutely fantastic. So what's up, nerd? Good to see you, buddy. Thank you, and Trev, thank you directly to you. Thank you for your service. Greatly appreciate that. So cheers to you, buddy. Yes, crack it open. So yeah, like I said, that was an absolutely fantastic place. So all of everybody I mentioned before who was part of the pick, we had a great day. Started out with some lunch. did like kind of a brief little tour of the place. Then we got to go on some ATVs through this 300 plus acres that they have. Now we didn't cover all 300 acres, of course, but we were able to kind of get on a couple of ATVs, have some fun doing that. Then once we were done there, we kind of came back. We kind of got after some business, did our barrel pick, probably spent a good maybe hour and a half. We had samples. We had there's our pick right there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but anyway, this guy came in at 122.8. And the astonishing thing with this is it is just over 3 years old, maybe closer to 3.5 years old. But the cool part of that, and I'll kind of give you a little insight on what that was. We had 3 different samples that were not just regular single barrels of sweet rye mash. The one we ultimately ended up choosing was something that they actually hit or route the inside of the barrel, basically causing all of those wood shavings to fall to the bottom of the barrel. Now they store their barrels vertically. So all of that settled and essentially created almost this really nice, heavy double oaking process. So the rye whiskey that we ended up with, and Jeffrey can vouch for it, Jason can vouch. I think that's all that's in here right now, but it really changed the profile of that whiskey in a very interesting way. So the only way I can kind of, the analogy was more of this double oak type of deal. So, yeah. And if there's anybody in here, I know Marty was maybe going to jump on here in a few minutes. I'll put the link in here. If anyone wants to jump on and share some of the B523, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll open that up here in a few minutes. But so anyway, long story short, even though I've told the long story already, Hard Truth, Nashville, Indiana, absolutely fantastic place. Visit there if you can. So, all right, let's get back to the Elijah Craig stuff. But again, cheers to you guys. Thank you so much. Right now, I got a little Hard Truth of the malted rye, which, man, I fell in love with it. It was the first time again I had it. But cheers to you guys. Thanks for joining tonight. Appreciate it. There's just something about malted rye that I absolutely love. I don't know what it is. It's always creamy, nice mint, lots of caramel on it, very mouth coating. I love the texture of it. I don't know if that has anything to do with just the process of what they're doing, but I believe everything that they do is all the sweet mash process. So again, lots of labor and all of that goes into that. So let's see, what do we got here? Did I miss anybody? I'm sure I got some questions. One of the bad things I'd say about YouTube now is when you guys tag me in anything, it doesn't light up like it used to. It's really kind of annoying to be honest. But anyway, so let me get a little sip of water. I'll pour. I'm going to start with the A123 tonight. But before I do, let's kind of throw this up there. We'll go in order of a couple of the questions and stuff I had. But here it is. What's up with ECBP? You guys know anything that maybe you know that I don't know, but it's an interesting thing that's going on with them right now, and not exactly sure what it is, if it's a Elijah Craig barrel proof thing, if it's a Heaven Hill thing. I know there's some rumors out there about the age statements and all of that, maybe in terms of what it is they're doing with that. But I'm just curious as to what it is that they've got going on, that in this whiskey, they couldn't find something to meet that 12-year age statement that everyone absolutely loves. Now, again, as much as 11 and a half years isn't that much different than 12 years, it can make a difference, and oftentimes we know that with it being 12 years, that the youngest whiskey in that batch was 12 years. Now it could be, 12 years one day, 13 years, 14 years, 15, whatever it may be. But the interesting part was that batch now has lowered itself all the way down to 11 years, 5 months. So not even quite 11 and a half years. So it was very, very interesting to see what that was. And I would love to hear, so Brian, we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but I've kind of heard a little bit of the same thing as well. And, I struggle with that a little bit in terms of the 12-year age statement that, even if they were going to do a 13-year age stated, Elijah Craig barrel proof, could they not have done a 12-year and just left it at that and then maybe ramp things up for the next release? And maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. I don't know. But boy, I've got to believe that Heaven Hill is still sitting on a tremendous amount of old stock. For them to be able to continuously pump these things out, it'll be, I don't know, just a little leery on what some of that stuff really was. So let's see here. Yeah, it was just one of those things that just kind of I think it caught everybody off guard. I mean, I don't think anyone saw that coming or maybe even knew it was coming regarding the age statement, but we'll see. So I'm excited to kind of do the B523 live with you guys. I sat down with it early on and, I just kind of cracked the bottle open, started to kind of take a few notes of things, and wanted to kind of pump the brakes on it a little bit. So without spoiling things, I would say I wasn't right off the neck pour. I wasn't overly excited about the B523 if I'm being honest. So let's see, what do we got? So Adam picked up a 9-year single barrel, Elijah Craig barrel proof. Yeah, so these things, some of these can be very, very interesting. Now, again, the pick that we did a couple years ago, now that was the youngest one of the bunch, and it by far was the best. So again, they can be very, very hit or miss. And again, that's from probably batch to batch, single barrel to single barrel. All of that stuff is definitely going to vary. But I find the Elijah Craig single barrel BPs to be absolute hitters. Way better than their batch stuff. Okay, cool. That's kind of interesting, Matt. So, and again, obviously with, single barrels being that and batching, they're looking for a certain profile with the batches. Single barrels, you're relying on the people choosing, whatever barrel it is they've got. So, let's see. So Dave says, just got notified that one of my Honey Hole liquor stores have their private barrel coming soon. So, if Dave, if you trust those guys and it's one of those things, then, it's probably worth picking up. I'd be interested to see what some of those single barrel picks end up being like age wise, if they're all going to be kind of, or continue to be in that 9-ish year range. That's kind of what most of them have been looking like. So, all right, what do you got, Polly? Testing tagging theory? No. So like even in mine, Paul, like I see it, but like on my end, it's like grayed out. So again, I don't know if that's something on my end or what it is. But one thing I'll say is I did see, which maybe this is something new that they're doing, on my end, on my phone, the chat portion flashed. So I don't know if when someone tags me, now it's flashing the whole entire thing on my end. I don't know. So I'll know if somebody else tags me at my Bourbon Journey and anything else and it flashes, well, then I'll know what's going on with that. So All right, Eric, what do you got? Think the nose in the B523 is fantastic, but the palate didn't quite match. So, and again, I'm only into this thing for a few days. I've not even had it for a week yet. I want to let it get a little bit more time before I do a review on that. I think doing anything with the Elijah Craig barrel proof right off the neck pour is not doing it any justice. So, what do we got here? Cheers, Al. Hey, man. Hopefully you're doing a little bit better. I know I saw a little while ago it looked like there were some health things going on, so I'm hoping everything is going better for you anyway. But cheers to you, buddy. Yeah, some of these private labels, and again, guys, they can all be hit or miss. It really depends on the people doing the pick and who it is that you trust in terms of what it is they're saying about things. So. Anyway, so all right, let me put this one aside, and man, I've already blabbered for 21 minutes. So let me do this. Let me grab a little bit of water here. I'll pour the A123, but let's see. I wanted to, this was like somebody else had mentioned before. So is there something else going on at Heaven Hill that we may not know? No more age statement. Are there older age statements coming? I don't know. That's to be determined. We'll find out what is coming, but that will be interesting to see if now the C batch, like some rumors have, that there's going to be a 13-year age statement on it. I guess color me skeptical a little bit. I'm a little reluctant to kind of say that there will be a 13 on that. I think if they are going to go above that, I think maybe they still go back to 12. And if they do, I got to think, like, what was going on where they couldn't have allowed for the B batch to have a 12-year age statement. So I'm just a little bit kind of like leery or curious as to what it is that they were doing. So, and again, we're maybe about 8 minutes all. If there's anybody in here, I know Marty was just got his bottle today. I know. Let's see who else had theirs. I know Eric, I thought, had a B523. So I'll be interested if you guys are ready to go. I'll open it up here in about 8 or 10 minutes. So. I smell a rat. You know what? It's not even really any of that. I'm just curious as to why the 7-month gap, like of all of that in terms of the 12. So to see now where they go. I mean, did they hold stuff back to make the C batch older? Was that the reason why? I don't know. I don't know if I believe that or not. So, yes, sir. Grill them, then put them in beer. So I say cook them in beer, grill them, and stick them back in the beer bath. That's what we do. Now, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but that's what we do. So, let's see, what do we got? Mr. Ritter, good to see you again, buddy. All right, so let's see. Yeah, and again, when I saw that there was no more, 12-year age statement, I was already a little skeptical and curious as to what it was that was going on. I mean, a huge company like Heaven Hill to kind of pull that a little bit was interesting because they've rested on the fact that their Elijah Craig barrel proofs are minimum of 12 years, and then now to pull it and then just to give us maybe a 13-year on the C batch, I don't know, but interesting. I love all the brat talk. I didn't realize we were going to get into a little bit of beer and brat talk tonight. We're talking my language here. So pre-boil and beer, then sear on the grill for me. Yep, Paulie P. Then you can dump them back in the beer bath if you want. But I like that. I like that order. So let's see. Here's the thing. So even with this being 11 years, 5 months, is it still a great value in in bourbon? And again, I think that's kind of a loaded question because it all depends on my Brotcher. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I think that all depends on the profile. We'll kind of get into it a little bit here with the B batch, and kind of my first impression with you guys. But it's one of those things. It's just they've been so consistent since basically the get-go, or at least with this release, this bottle style release, of them all being an age stated 12 years. Now, if there were older ones in there, I'm sure maybe there would have been something that leaked. But my guess is that if they were much above 12 years, it probably wasn't that much. So I mean, what would the incentive necessarily be to release 13, 14-year stuff? I don't know if they would do that unless they needed it to somehow offset the profile of things maybe not being how they wanted it. That would be the only way I could see them adding richer, maybe more complex, older whiskeys to that. So, okay, so still a great value, and I would tend to agree. And I think right now, I think the jury is going to be out, beginning with B523. Now with it changing the age statement, I think it'll probably still be a great value, but will it be what we used to chase? Will you still continue to do all of that? If the profile starts to kind of slightly change. So, good to see you, Maddie. Good to see you, bud. All right, so let me get the A batch poured. We'll talk a little bit about that, then we'll dive into the B batch. And if there's anybody again who wants to come on and you're ready to go, I'll drop the link here in a couple minutes. I wanted this B batch, or the A batch, to kind of be the tone setter on this one for me. So I think just like a lot of other people this year, everyone was really pretty darn pleased with how the A batch turned out, including myself. I absolutely loved it. It reminded me, honestly, of more of the older batches. There was something that made the A123 for me extremely drinkable. I loved it. It really reminded me of being in a rick house and those just sweet, rich, bourbon notes that you get when you're in there. It really resonated with me, and that's what it kind of reminded me of. So absolutely loved the A batch. So, all right, what do you got here, Mr. Ritter? Still a great value compared. If you're getting a value of $10 a year, less than it's a win. Too many brands coming out with unfinished 5-year stuff for $100. Can you say, yeah? And again, that is kind of, and I've seen even people talk a little bit more of that $15 or $20 range now per 10 years on a whiskey. And in today's day and age, you probably wouldn't even be that far off, with those kind of age statements, if we're talking just straight bourbon, straight rye, things along those lines, where you're getting just nothing finished or anything along those lines. So, A123 is a hot gal still for me when I compare it to the C and B522 or B22 batches. So yeah, there was something. The B522 was closer for me to the A123 than a lot, but man, there was something about that A123 that was absolutely fantastic. So, all right, let me dive into the A123 again, guys. Cheers! Thanks everyone for joining tonight. Really appreciate it. So, oh man, it is just like a liquid sweet rickhouse. I just love how well developed this whiskey is. Those burnt sugars, maybe caramel notes. Just there is, like I had described in the video that I did, that again, that rickhouse effect with that sweet, rich oak that's there. Nice baking spices, not getting a lot of heat on the nose. Now, again, this is my second bottle of this one, so I'm kind of just getting into this one a little bit too. But 125.6 proof. great proof. So yeah, I mean, overall, I would say you're probably right. I mean, there's not any of them that you're going to pass. At the end of the day, you're still talking about for 75-ish, give or take a few dollars one way or the other. Again, close to a 12-year, bourbon, and you just can't beat that. I mean, it really does still remain a tremendous value. So I would agree with you and anybody else who's said the same thing. So, what's up, Darrell? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for jumping in. Good seeing you on Friday as well. I think we all had a fantastic time. So, yeah, probably so. I would probably agree with both of you on that. The 920 or even the 20 releases were absolutely fantastic, and now starting to get back to these, almost like liquid candy bars. They're getting so good with all those great rich, baking spices and the nice sweet rich oak, all of that, and it's very well outside of all of those notes. It's very well done. Like the batch that they put together really worked fantastically. So let's see. So, oh man, that A123 is an absolute, man, it is like a liquid candy bar. Man, baking spices right up front. Again, boy, a lot of like nougat that's on that, maybe more so than I got before. But again, just the balance, the texture, right amount of like kind of proof, a little bit of heat, a little bit of that hug that it gives you, just makes it for that perfect kind of bourbon. I mean, it really is a fantastic one. Let me ask you this: is there anybody in the chat that didn't like the A123? And if not, why? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that. And again, there is no right or wrong answer. Again, for any of these, whatever it is you get and whatever it is you like, that's perfect. I mean, we're all of us who do these reviews and everything, and anybody who gives any input is just a guide for the most part. So, but I'd be interested to hear if there was anybody who didn't like any of the A batches. So it's something that for me, oftentimes in a lot of the other releases, some of the A's haven't been quite there, yet. And then I think as they release them, they kind of start to, develop or maybe improve. But that's also an interesting type of thing, because you go from C batches, which oftentimes a lot of people enjoyed, to then the A batch, which sometimes kind of fell either, I don't want to say flat, but weren't always people's favorite. So it can really be all over the board. But I'd be interested to hear if there's anybody who didn't enjoy the A123, and I'd be more curious as to why. Like, what about that didn't fit? So, all right, I'm gonna throw the while I'm kind of sipping on the A123. If there's anybody who wants to hop in tonight and chat about the B523, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So as we kind of get into it, we'll chat. I'll give you my initial thoughts on the B523 as well. So, okay. So let's see here. Let me throw this in there. Get that off to you guys. All right. Anybody wants to hop in and chat a little B523, you're more than welcome. So looking forward to chatting a little bit about that one as well. And I like the idea of that. Like, now we're kind of, into the second of the third release. They're starting to develop a little bit of a pattern. Where are we kind of going with things? Are we going, forward, backwards? Where are we kind of going? It'll be very, very interesting to kind of hear people's thoughts on that. So, Yeah, what I will say, like right off the bat, is for me, the A batch is, man, I don't want to say significantly better, but I think I'd be lying if I didn't say that. And that's again based on only it being open less than a week. Now we'll see if that somehow changes, but the profile of B for me was completely different than what the A batch kind of had to offer. The A batch is something that really fits in my wheelhouse. So, and something that, you know, is kind of a benchmark. So oftentimes if we're just doing regular bourbon picks, you know, that is what I have in my memory bank as a comparison to whatever the bourbons are that we're choosing. That's the benchmark that I kind of work off of in terms of how I like the, you know, the front, middle, and back, all of that to kind of, you know, work on my palate. So, you know, if that helps you guys, you know where I'm kind of coming from regarding doing single barrel picks, the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is my, you know, kind of my template that I work off of. So, so what do you got here, Johnny? Just picked up Elijah Craig single barrel pick. It's delicious. Yeah. So I would say it's one of those things where if you're, you know, either part of the pick or you know the people that are doing the pick and you trust that, then fantastic. You know, that's really all that matters. Again, age will get you so far, but age does not always mean it's going to be better. We all know that. So if there's somehow, you know, I mean, there have been, I've had 12-year, you know, whiskeys that are great. I've had some that are not so great, and vice versa. I've had some younger stuff that has been really, really fantastic. Hard Truth was a perfect example of that. In fairness, it was rye that we were trying. So again, that's different than bourbon in terms of the aging part of things. But let's see what else we got here. So let me go back. TCT. So I would agree with you 100%. So far for me, it's clearly, and again, I don't even know if I have 10 whiskeys so far this year that I could even come up with a top 10 list right now. I don't think I even have 10 that are on there. But let's see. I have 3 different single barrel picks from 3 different stores. They just are better than the B523. So if anyone comes on, actually, we'll kind of get into it here in a second. I'll bust open the 523 and start going through some of that. But, you know, I'll say the A123, the sweetness, the balance, the richness, it's, you know, short of calling it like the perfect bourbon, it is really, really darn close in terms of what it's giving you. You know, all of that sweetness. It's not over oaked. You know, with the Heaven Hill stuff, oftentimes you can get some of those like peanut or like a dried peanut shell, something. And that is not what you're getting on the A batch whatsoever. I struggled with even really honestly, even being able to find anything that had anything to do with that Heaven Hill profile from that like nuttiness or maybe that peanut shell. It gave me none of that. It was just a liquid, sweet Rickhouse, if that makes any sense to anybody, with all those nice, you know, caramels, you know, burnt brown sugars, things along those lines, richness, complexity. I mean, it sounds like you're describing the perfect bourbon. So to me, it's an absolutely incredible bourbon. So. Super easy to drink. That's for sure. So, Razor, good to see you in here, buddy. What the hell is everyone doing here? What do you got? Roger Scott makes a good point about age not translating into excellent bourbons. Case in point, Elijah Craig 18. Yeah, for their 18-year, I mean, if you wanted to give that to everyone at barrel proof and hope that it was not over oaked, great. But to have that thing proof down to what it is kind of almost embarrassing. So, oh boy. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man.
I was excited when you texted me before about yours. Yours just landed. So, did you have? I'm assuming you had the A123.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm gonna assume that it was for you a fantastic bourbon.
Absolutely, hands down.
Okay.
It went with probably as good for me as the B batch of last year.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Because I was in between A and B for the wins of last year, and I think B kind of kicked it out in the last stream I did with those. And so B won, and then the A batch I thought was very good for this year.
Yeah, the A batch for me, there was just something about it. It wasn't long into sipping on it where you just realize like what kind of bourbon that thing really is. I mean, that was a hitter of a whiskey. And I would say for $75, take my money all day long for that one. So you got a little B523.
I do. I've yet to taste it. It's been in the glass for probably 8-9 minutes. So
okay. All right.
I was going to wait.
All right. I'll be interested. I want to get your thoughts, and I've had it similar to how you are. So we're getting it fairly, pretty close to the same. So like when I had it, I only got mine a few days ago, cracked it open right away and kind of started diving into it. But I'll be interested to actually, let me pour a little bit of that while I probably should have done this a few minutes ago, and maybe I'll let you kind of chat a little bit about that one. We got the A batch, but what the heck, we're already 40 plus minutes, man. I must really be able to just babble for like ever because we're 40 minutes in, and I feel like I've not.
Good comments. You were going through comments, and there's a lot of good ones.
All right, so thanks for saving me there. I appreciate it.
You were no, really. I
gotta hang on a second. This is look at this thing. Jesus, look at that shirt. That is.
You never know what might
it's not only it's beautiful and disgusting all at the same time.
It's a whole lot of sexy.
It's more it's not a lot of sexy. It's more disgusting than it is anything. But oh my god, I can't look at myself with that afro like that anymore.
I've been waiting a long time to wear it.
I give you props for wearing.
I'll be honest.
I give you props for wearing something that looks like that.
You can thank Mr. DC for that design.
Oh my god, he is a magician when it comes to like meme shirts, I'll tell you. So anyway, all right. So let's give everybody the first impressions of B523. B523. I'll give you the honors. Let me know what your let me ask you this right away. Nose versus A123. Where are we with that for you?
I think the nose was heavier. As in, I felt like when you nosed A123, I felt like you were going to get a really nice weighted palate, and you did.
Yeah.
This one, I'm getting a lighter nose. I don't feel like I've got something heavy, weighty coming at me, oily.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, man, I'm getting a nice little vanilla oak. I do like this nose, and I saw a couple chats there or comments that were made that the nose on this is great, but the palate is kind of. So I've put it off, but definitely getting like a fruity apple.
Yeah.
On this one.
When I first nosed it, like within 5 minutes of having it, the one thing that like stood out to me like right away was this like dry roasted peanut. There was something that was resonating like peanutty to me where I was picking up a little bit more, almost a sharpness. There was a sharpness that gave me, I don't want to say youth, but maybe it was the ethanol that I was getting because it wasn't as, I'll say, clean as A123 was. There was something that was making me think this whiskey needs time to develop. I'm
telling you, man, what I'm getting, just something like you said on the nose, it's kind of dangling. Is for me, I'm picking up the rye that's in it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree 100%. I think it is much more when you say rye. That's a very good note, because on mine, in terms of my notes, I actually wrote down rye bread because it was something that was standing out to me, that there was this, it was pungent. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't smell like well developed yet.
I can see what you're saying. It needs, it's a little bit, it's pulled a little early.
And maybe this thing, maybe it will open up. I just don't know if this will ever get to A123 status. I don't think this is that sweet of a bourbon like A123 was. I don't think it's going to go there.
Yeah, I agree.
But we'll see. So, have you tried it yet?
No, I've just been nosing the hell out of it.
Do you want to dive into it?
Yeah, let's go, man.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, bud. Thanks for joining. Now here's what I'll say. So let me ask you this. It's dry oak, man. It's a lot of
drying.
Yeah. For me, it was a little tannic. Like right now, it's a little tannic. And it's alcohol-y. It's ethanol to me, you know. Where are you at with it?
I'm trying to fight through the damn alcohol, to be honest. I'm getting a graham cracker something, but I don't like that. I mean, I like graham cracker notes, but this one's kind of lingering with the heat.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of oak.
A lot of oak on this thing.
Which is kind of, I mean,
it's
part of the course a little bit, but I'm not getting, I'm not getting the vanilla that I love from it.
No.
I'm not getting a little bit of cherry that I love from it. I'm missing those.
Yeah.
There's no custard. There's no ice cream. There's no sweetness to it for me.
No.
I mean, I'm like I said, dude, I just got this today and this is the first go. And I think it will change. We know it will. But right now up front for me, I don't know, man.
I've only had mine open. I've only had mine open now a handful of days. I have not had mine very long either. And even trying it now from the first time, I think I got mine the middle to end of last week. And right now I'm still getting the same exact things that I was getting. Jason, have you released this video on the B523?
I think he did today, this afternoon.
Oh, he did today. Okay. All right. So, because he made a comment in terms of what you and I were describing that he was getting. So I'd be curious to see. I try not to watch any videos leading up to that. I don't want to be influenced on any of that, but I'd be interested to kind of hear what his thoughts on that stuff were. But I would say it's definitely not rich and savory like A123 is at all. Not at this point. So,
well, whoever the person in the chat was that said the nose, kicks the tail out of the palate, they nailed it right up front.
I think Eric said that. So
Eric, I think, is it? Yeah, he got it. I love the nose. I get a little bit of the sugar, a little bit of that vanilla, but then the alcohol starts taking over for me.
Yeah.
But that palate, man, I'm so oaky.
Yeah.
It's drying, like you said. It's hot.
It leads a little bit. It leads oak and ethanol for me, and a little bit too much of that, just that dry, like roasted peanut shell that's there. That's not something that I dig. I love oak, but I would say when I get a bourbon that's like this, that's a little bit of a turnoff for me. I'm not a huge fan of when it goes to that point. So
I mean, I've got all my Elijah Craigs over here you can't see, and it's absolutely ridiculous, the number of them. And I see some of these private barrels that I've got, and I'm sitting and I know what that one's like. I know what that one's like, and I'm thinking, I know for a fact I like both of those, and they're 9 years better than this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. Like
yeah,
you said,
I was going to say, I'm like, I know the 9-year pick that we ended up with was way sweeter, more rich, all of that than this thing. And again, here's a good question. Like, what is it that's going on that to go from A to B, these two are night and day. These two are not even remotely similar. I don't see them getting similar in terms of the profile that they are now. So with it being slightly younger, like it just leads me to wonder like what's going on over there that they had to pull these and they didn't have anything that they could bump up an age statement because
you talked about it earlier. There's rumor that the C batch of 23 is going to be 13-year, maybe a little plus. If it's still light on the palate and sets my ass on fire, I don't care.
Yeah.
Get a good one. Let's get some plans together here. I don't know. I don't know. It's just.
I would say if you want to give me a 13-year that tastes like A123, perfect. If you're giving me an older oakier B523, I'd say save your money. Now, here's what I say. I would say buy it because it's Elijah Craig. It's still probably a good bourbon overall. But when you're getting into that comparison game and maybe something that you would want to reach for, man, right now I'm struggling with B523. It is not my jam.
I think one of the issues, Scott, I'm going to have with this is I've already talked to Rob. I've talked to Greg. I've talked to a lot of people in the community that as of right now, just once I tasted it and know what's going on with it, I'm probably not going to back this one up. And and I can't tell you the last 4 years that I haven't backed them up.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, this one, I'm on the boat of not backing it up. But I do say this with respect to it: brand new bottle, just got it.
Yep.
If you see it, anybody watching for $75 and under, I think it's a pickup because you've got to give it the chance to get better. Even though you're paying the money up front for the hope, it's not terrible. It's just heavy alcohol, light on the palate. You're just missing a few of the balanced notes. But, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, still, you're getting, let's just call it 12 years for lack of a better, whatever. That's still a great value. $75 for a 12-year barrel proof bourbon. Hands down, there's not many or anybody else who's doing such a thing. Right. So it's already a fantastic, value from that standpoint. But when I start to think about just buying them to buy them, and maybe not wanting to reach for it, then you're like, man, is it really that great of a value if I know what it tastes like and I don't want to drink it?
Yeah. You got to make yourself go back to it.
You have to kind of go back and maybe hope it changes. But, like you and I I've only had mine again open for a few days longer than you have. And we're getting, I think, a lot of the same or similar kind of tasting notes. So,
yeah,
it is, man. It's a lot of like rye bread, dry roasted peanuts. It's just a little on the nose and the palate for me. It's a little too too many oak tannins. It's really leading oaky to me. And that's a big turnoff. I love oak, but for a lot of people, it's a huge turnoff, So you start to think, man, how many people are going to really, truly enjoy this release if it stays like this?
Yeah.
I
think I can sit here and pick it to death, but 124, it's hitting every bit of it.
Yeah.
For me. And I think we're missing with the heat like I said, I get a lot of rye notes. You get that rye bread on the nose, and I think that's a little bit of the heat we're getting on the back end. But it's just like I think it's too hot. I haven't put any water in, and I may put a drop or two in it in a second.
Yeah, that's probably a good.
But I don't like. That's something I don't do with this stuff.
No, and neither do I.
I shouldn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah, it is. It's just one of those things where, for me, boy, it's just I'm really struggling. And when I first cracked it, I was excited, man. I was super excited to see it. I'm still excited to do the review of it. I think in fairness, people need to understand like what this thing is. I'll probably hold off until I get back from Missouri. and doing my review, because I want this thing to kind of open up and see if it changes, within a week. That'll be basically almost 2 weeks of it being open. And man, if I'm still getting the same exact things, boy, that won't bode very well for me,
I can't believe I'm going to say this.
Oh boy.
I think the couple drops of water helped it.
Oh,
It got a lot of that. It got a lot of that ass kick heat, rye burn down on the back end, and it kind of leveled it out just a little bit.
Look at this, like a professional. I got a little pipette and everything right here, just stuffed in my throat. All right, let's see if Marty's right on. How many drops did you do?
I did 3, and I had about a 3/4 of an ounce.
All right, I've got about the same thing. All right, we'll do 3 drops is equal. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's see what we got. Give that thing a little swirl-a-roo and see what
you may not like it as much, but I think it leveled out the back end just a shade.
Well, what I would say on the nose, it sweetened it up a little bit more. Kind of took away a little bit more of that it being oak forward.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more caramel kind of started to come out in that a little bit. Yeah, I definitely like it.
That apple's starting to kick up for me now on the nose.
Yeah,
I could spice is down just a little.
Yeah, I could totally see that. So, all right, let me give this thing a try. Have you tried it yet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Man.
Did it kill the heat for you on the back end?
It did a little bit. Honestly, what it's kind of doing for me is, outside of it being like spicy, it's almost falling flat. Like it's gone like flat to me a little bit. It almost feels spicier now on my palate. It's seeming to linger on more of the mid to the back of the palate, and it's spicier. It does, for me, it is less like oaky, meaning it's less like tannic, but I find myself, the way it is right now, like having to search a lot of like what is that? Like what is it that I'm even drinking? Like what is
You're still unbalanced? It's still unbalanced. There's not any level playing field with it.
No.
I mean, either way you go.
No.
I think that's exactly what you're explaining. Is there's something there that doesn't pick up where the last note left off.
Yeah.
It's just a roller coaster of heat.
Yeah.
And like you said, tannic notes. Barrel, lots of oak.
Oh.
See, this is what a lot of people.
Hey, let me ask you this: Do you have A123 by you?
I've got it over there.
Can you go grab it real quick?
Yeah, right. I'll get it.
Grab it. I want you to pour that and see, because it is the difference between A123 and B523 is night and day. And man, I can't watch. I want to watch Jason's review, but I don't, because I want this thing to be. I want this review to be, for me, like, everything I do is honest, of course, but I want this to be without knowing what anybody else's thoughts are, like Jason and all of that. So man, because right now I am struggling big time with this thing. But I wanted to get your thoughts on, because man, A123 is just, it is so well balanced with sweet oak, those brown sugars, nice fruits. You can see, man. And it's one of those things where when you go between A and B, like I honestly think it makes like B shittier. That's a professional tasting term, by the way. Shittier.
Shoot.
Yeah. I'd be curious to hear like the people who enjoy 523. And again, I'm only saying that like based on this thing being open for, again, less than a
Right.
week. And same thing with Marty. You know, we can only judge what it is we've got in our glass right now. But I don't know how long. I don't know the bottle that Jason had, how long it was open for. But he's kind of echoing what it is that we've been kind of chatting about, and that's a lot of the same things. So
yeah, the nose is just, it's muscle. It's evenly balanced. I think that's the best thing I can pull between the two A and B batches. B is like that rye forward, like you said, that bready note.
yeah. Is there anything you could compare B to? Like, have you had anything before that's just been like an oaky mess?
Yeah, and I think I just had a different bottle, which was the Calumet 16.
Oh yeah, I remember you and I were talking about that.
Yeah, when I first opened it, I was not impressed, and it was a hot oak. I wouldn't say nightmare, but it was just like, I am missing something.
I remember you and I kind of chatted about it, and I said the same thing. I think we had different batches.
Yeah.
But mine early on, I would say, was not even remotely close to where it ultimately ended up.
Yeah.
And again, I was speaking, that's only the batch that I had. It ended up being a very, very good bourbon. So, but
mine opened up and it's nice. I don't drink it a lot because I still get that hot back end heat, but I still I'm like you do. You know, we've done picks and everything else. We love barrel notes. I mean, I love oak, and you know, it's a lot of oak.
Yeah,
dude,
I mean, you still get oak on A123, but
man, I'm getting cherry, vanilla.
Yeah, it just balanced very well in there.
Sugars are tied in neatly right with those. I mean, it's very nicely balanced on the nose.
Man, if like Jason's saying that the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof B523 is an attempt to be a mediocre Booker's bourbon, a mediocre Booker's, I mean, I wouldn't even want that at all. Like, that's not even something I would even reach for. That's not a glowing review. That's for sure. So, I mean, I guess I'm struggling with thinking that this thing is somehow going to change and be close to A123, and I don't think it's going to.
I don't know where it's going to get its weight from. I mean, this thing on the palate's got great oil release. It's that cherry wood, that perfect amount of sugar, mouth coating, and B to me is like, I wouldn't not anything allocated.
The nose with water has sweetened it up a little bit more, so you do get a little bit more of that kind of like vanilla custard ish. But again, I don't want to do a review adding water because I don't know what people are going to add to it. So if I add 3 drops, not everybody else is going to add that. I feel like you got to do a review based on it out of the bottle, no matter what it is. If you want to monkey around with it and add water like we've done, you know, great. But man, that is.
Yeah, but I don't buy them. I do not buy anything bourbon wise to add water to it. I don't. That is not an expectation.
Me either.
You know, I do with some of my peated scotch because I like to bring the peat down a little bit. But this, no, I don't know. I need stuff added to this to balance it out, and that.
I'm gonna mute you if you mention scotch one more time.
Gotcha. Sorry.
duly noted, right?
No, that's why it's off camera.
Yeah, it's off camera. You know what? I'm gonna do. I've got the B520, which I remember liking. It's been a while since I've gone to it. Let me see what the hell we've got on this.
A's great. I mean, there's not a dadgum thing wrong with A.
I'm gonna say no. Yeah, that. I mean, I kind of described it like before as like almost like the perfect bourbon. Man, it's very darn close. It's a lot of what I think a lot of people really enjoy in a bourbon. Oh man, see like the B520, it's so like vanilla custard and nice like Luxardo cherry, nice oak.
What's the proof on that one? Is it 124?
127.2.
God,
Oh
wow.
man, it's again sweet, rich oak, much more
This one's
much closer to the A123 than what's going on with this B523. For me, it is based on B, we're not going in the right direction, guys. So that'd be my assumption. Man, that is like a lot of vanilla custard, nice, sweet, rich oak. Again, those brown sugars are there. Really well balanced. Like that's a big deal is when you can like pull those layers and you can tell the richness and complexity and all of it working really well rather than tasting it and something that's just like a mess right away. Now you're having to do like damage control, you know? Shit, that B520 is really good.
Yeah, A123 is like taking a drink of a puzzle, and as you take it down your palate, all the pieces just fall together.
Yeah.
B523, if the pieces just scatter, you can't get any balance. You can't get anything to step up, and then the heat takes over.
I just go back to it, and now, like, even though there was a little bit of vanilla there, I'm still getting this, like, peanut shell, maybe dry roasted peanuts.
Beam action.
Man, it's like this salty peanut. I don't know, man. It is. I'm kind of bummed, man. I was hoping that like somehow, I don't know how, but I was hoping it would be better than like A123. I don't know how that would be, but it was a hope. So, oh man, honestly, like talking about the Larceny real quick, man, I was really impressed with their first one this year. I really liked the Larceny.
Yeah, I did too.
Maybe for the first time overall, like I really, really enjoyed the profile of it. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if anybody's really seen it yet, other than the media samples that have gone out.
Oh yeah, on the Larceny.
Yeah, on the Larceny B batch.
I thought they were because I think the Larceny. I think those are all because the original Larceny was A223, right? So now I think they're releasing it. I think the next one is going to be, if it's kind of stays that, it's going to be A623, I believe, if they follow that. Hang on, let me. All right, you got yours by you?
Yeah.
I thought it was 223, if I'm not mistaken.
A123.
Okay, I'm an idiot. All
No,
right.
you're not.
I don't know why I thought. Maybe it was that they released them a month apart. So maybe it was something that they did that way, but I don't know. Oh, jeez, look at it. Drifting Drams fired up. Shots fired. I think they're referencing that the B523 is like the Mets of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. That's not gonna sit very well with Mr. Calori, I'll tell you that.
There it is. He's already got them.
So Matt says the C922 was killer. I don't know if I honestly had the C922 or not, Matt.
That I think for me, the C batch last year was better than A and B. But if you have the A and B batch, blend A and B equal and try that. It'll blow your socks off.
Man, that's like one thing I've always been not one to do is do all these like blending of batches for the most part. Like,
how I found it, Scott, was I had them. I think I did a show or a stream or a video with them, and I had them sitting there, all of them. And I just, there was a little bit left, and I put them together, and I was still going. I was like, oh my God, this is by accident. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, sometimes it is kind of amazing how those things can happen.
The weeder was A223. So you're not.
Yeah, that's what it was. I knew there was
that right.
Yeah, I knew there was something that was a 223. So, let me ask you this. So, with this thing being aged 11 years 5 months, do you honestly think? And again, I mean, this could blow up in my face, and I don't know if that's even gonna be the case or not. But do you think they released a younger whiskey so that they can wait a few more months to release something that has a different, like a 13-year age statement? I just don't. That's my opinion. But if it happens, great. But I just don't see that.
I don't understand why you've got to do this now at this point to have like a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
And then come back in the fall and say, all right, man, here's what we're releasing. We're releasing a 13-year, 6-month.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
It seems a little counterproductive. Like you're willing to like throw, it's like throwing one batch under the bus to have a better one. Like, what's the point of that?
What if they did like, I mean, I don't really know the barrel process for these barrel proofs A, B, and C at Elijah Craig, but what if they, 6 weeks ago said, like they did in 2020 with the Stag, George T. Stag, it's just not very good right now. We're not releasing it.
Yeah.
I mean, would we have rather heard them say that or have this?
You know what? I think people would appreciate that from the honesty. I mean, if nothing else, if you're going to step up and say, you know what, we're not even going to release this batch because we don't feel it's ready. Like, I think there's more integrity to that than there is with just pumping something out that's not very good and then hoping that everyone buys it because of what it says on the bottle. Because I mean, to me, I would say again, just based on this and B and A are not equal at this point, only because the amount of time that they've been open. But if they remain this similar in terms of how opposite they are, man, I think the B batch is a huge miss.
Yeah, I can agree more.
I think it's a big miss, and then to now not have that 12 on it only adds, I think, a little bit more skepticism as to, well, what's going on that they don't have enough 12-year-old barrels, but then all of a sudden they're going to have enough 13-year-old barrels.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, on first night of it, buddy, I'm not impressed.
Yeah. Well, it'll. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say this. I planned on tomorrow releasing my first short, and this was going to be it, and it's going to be one damn good short. So it will be short. It sounds like
it's going to be 60 seconds of nothing but negativity.
It's going to be a damn good short.
Yeah. Well,
emphasis on short.
It's I mean, but I think at the end of the day, that's fair. I mean, I think what you're doing, I mean, for a little minute review or whatever that is, and giving people a first impression of a freshly open, B523. I think based on what we've talked about tonight, it's a pretty darn fair, I guess, I don't know, assumption at this point. So anyway, well, there you go, guys. You got our honest opinion of a bottle that's relatively new to both of us. If you want to watch Jason's video, he's got his released, I think you said today, right?
Yeah, I think he put it out this afternoon.
Right, so go check that out and see if it looked like he kind of was agreeing with what we had to say. So it'll be interesting to see what his video is. I'm not going to do my review. I'm going to give it a little bit more time just to see if somehow this thing changes. I'm not very optimistic. I'll say that about it. And maybe it'll change after a month or two. Maybe it'll change down the road. And I hope it does. But you can't do a B batch review in December.
No, you're right.
That doesn't work very well.
No, we'll do it again in September, probably when the C batch hits.
Sure. I mean, I think, doing a quick comparison, and I think, doing a video where you compare A to B. Yeah. I mean, that's not going to take very long to compare those two. I'll tell you that. I mean, that's a quick one right there.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, well, I've somehow rambled on for almost an hour and 15 minutes. Like, I guess,
good stuff.
Like my wife and dad do say, I do tend to ramble quite a bit. Well, guess it is what it is.
That's right, man. Well, thanks for having me, buddy. I appreciate it every time.
Absolutely. Glad you could come on. I was excited when I heard you just got it. I was I was hoping somebody else would pop on and give their thoughts on it, and if it was somehow remotely similar to what it was that I was getting, or if I was way off somehow. But somehow I seem to feel a little bit better. Jason Coates says bet it makes killer old fashions. I don't know, man. That's I don't
heavy pour.
Whatever. That'd be a
heavy
stiff
pocket pour.
That'd be a stiff old fashioned. But anyway, so I think all right, let me just touch quick on what's going on in the next week or two. So the end of this week, we're down in Missouri. We're doing the at Barrel King. We're doing the community blend. So we're working on that. Myself, Jason. I believe there's, I think 13 other guys that are going to be doing it. So so that'll be a good time. We don't know how many barrels we're going to end up, what it is we're going to end up with. All we know is that it's going to be one heck of a time. I'm sure we're going to end up with this monster of a whiskey with everybody involved. So we're looking forward to that. And then I believe next Tuesday we're actually have you heard of that Corbin Cash at all? They're out of California. So we're going to be doing a rye pick. They've been getting rave reviews. So we got a few samples of those. We'll be doing whatever it is, maybe June.
Do they do their own distilling?
Yeah, they do all their own stuff.
Good.
All their own stuff. So
sweet.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. I think next week on my channel, I think we're going to be doing the live barrel pick of the Corbin Cash. And then I think shortly thereafter, hopefully we'll be doing the Foursquare stuff. So we're looking forward to that. And then I've gotten in touch with a few brands. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the stories. Where is it? One of them, this was kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys have heard of it or not, but it's called Hemingway.
Yep.
Hemingway. Rye. Yeah, pretty cool. The blend on this thing is 94% 9-year-old Indiana rye and 6% 4-year-old Kentucky rye. That is, so it says it's a blend of straight rye whiskeys finished in rum seasoned Oloroso sherry casks. So it could be kind of cool. I'm looking forward to kind of chatting about them. I mean, I think we're all pretty familiar with Ernest Hemingway, and that's who it's kind of, branded after. So I'll be interested to kind of hear a little bit more about them. So I'm working on putting some dates together for that.
He was our third president, wasn't he?
Sounds like the B523 started kicking on your end a little bit. So it's either that or that ink on that shirt started to bleed into the bloodstream a little bit. So I don't want to.
Couldn't let that get by me.
A lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff going on. So I appreciate everybody joining tonight. Marty, thanks for jumping on for
man.
Half hour, 45 minutes. Appreciate that. So
buddy, enjoy it every time.
Yeah. So guys, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Greatly appreciate it. As always, we'll be back next Tuesday. Again, I think it's the Corbin Cash pick, and then a little more, few more things with brands, and trying to get some more things that involve whiskeys and stories. Maybe some that are a little bit more, I don't want to say necessarily like legit, but whatever it is you've got tied to the whiskey and why that is. I'm always interested to hear why some of these brands kind of, latch on to some of these things like that. So anyway, guys, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next Tuesday. Marty, thanks again. Appreciate it. And remember, it's about the journey, not the destination. Drink good whiskey. Cheers, guys.